Welcome to the Magic Minds podcast. I'm Matt Burke. Today's special guest is Steve Gunn. Steve, what's the crack?
How are you doing? How's it going?
Guys, I've asked Steve to come on the show because he's an actor from Fair City. He's an MC, singer, yoga guru, lord of gratuity from all the things I've read about him. And anything I've heard about him, he spent some time in the National Rehab. We'll get into that in a bit, not as a patient, as a kind of a method actor. Right. So he has a really interesting story and a life, and I'd love to tap into it. So that's why I've asked Steve to come on the show and share some of his life with us.
Cool.
Thanks a lot for coming on the show, Steve.
Pleasure.
Okay, you're an actor and all that. Give us a little background to your history into acting, let's say.
Yeah. So when I was in school and it was getting near the kind of leaving time, I was like, what am I going to do? And I was into music. So I think the first thing I wanted to do was be like a rock and roll star, the next Jim Morrison or something like that. And that was my thing for a while. And then I'd be playing a John Lennon song, and I'd be kind of taking on the character of John Lennon when I'm singing it. So that kind of led me to the idea of acting, you know. So then I went to the Gaiety School part-time. There was another fella in there doing the full-time course, Colin Farrell, and I don't know what happened to him.
Colin Farrell and on anyway.
Yeah, indeed. Funny, I used to
He's in that film, Phone Box, isn't it? Or Phone Booth.
Yeah. I used to deliver newspapers and collect money for newspapers around Castleknock. And I remember he came up to me one day and was like, here, Gunnar, what do you call it? I'll give you a black eye and take that bike and sell it and we'll split the money. And I was like, you're all right, man. So he was like, even though people think he puts on the act, he was a bit of a headbanger.
Was he? Yeah?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. Just a bit of a wild kid, you know. But anyway, there I am in the Gaiety doing a part-time acting classes, and I was enjoying it. And then I got involved with a theatre company in Newbridge called Crooked House. There's a girl called Yvonne was in the course, and they were putting on shows and stuff. So I sort of did some gigs with them, you know. And I've been at it ever since, you know. That's kind of how I get into it. Yeah.
When you're saying there in school, creativity and all that, is from my days of school, creativity wasn't supported, or, you know, it was either get yourself a leaving cert, get yourself a trade. There's only two routes.
Okay.
What was that like for you then?
I don't know, like, I suppose I was always in my own little world, on my own little buzz kind of a thing, do you know what I mean?
Right.
So I went to Belvedere College just around the corner there, so it was a big rugby playing school, and I guess everyone else was thinking about going to college and becoming doctors and lawyers and all this kind of stuff, and I was on my own little buzz, and I wasn't really paying attention to what.
You were oblivious to everything else going around,
just in my own little bubble. Yeah, so I was really like, I don't want to get a 9-to-5 job, I don't want to get a normal job, I want to do something that engages my imagination or whatever. So I just always had that in me, you know, and it's a blessing and a curse, you know.
Yeah. Was any teachers in your school influential on that? Or I spoke to another actor, Steve Jones, and his parents were quite supportive, and I thought that was deadly. What were your folks like? They
were grand, you know. They were reluctantly supportive, you know what I mean? Like, they used to say things like, whatever makes you happy, I suppose. But I could always sense that they would have preferred if I'd got a degree in accounting or something. And sometimes, you know, my inner parent goes, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
So, yeah, but no, they're very good to me in that way.
Cool. So, what I've known you from, and people have talked to me about, is your time in Fair City.
Sure.
Give us a little insight to that.
Yeah, well, you
played Dan.
I did play Dan, yeah. So, like, I left school 17, 18 or whatever, and then I was doing plays, profit share shows, and then occasionally I'd get like an ad on the telly or something like that, and little short films and things like that. And then, like, I remember in 04, I was in a production of the Scottish play, because it's bad luck to say Macbeth.
Is it?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Tell me about that. What's that?
It's just bad luck to say it, because
as an actor you can't say Macbeth.
If you want to buy into the superstitious stuff, you know, I'll see you in the emergency room next week, and we're about like run over for saying it.
Oh, bollocks!
Anyway, it doesn't really matter. But anyway, I did the show in 04 with Crooked House, and I also got a call to go into Fair City to play a character with a couple of scenes over a couple of weeks. Kind of a gangster guy who shows up and makes a few threats, and that was grand. And then I just started driving a taxi, right? Because I'd be working in bars and restaurants, and sometimes for my old man with a cash register company. And I went I started driving this cab, and I did a couple of weeks in Fair City, and I did that play, and then that was the end of that. And I drove the taxi then for 10 years, and then like 10 years later, in 14, I was back in Fair City, but I got a much bigger part than the part of Dan.
You were actually out in Dublin City driving a taxi.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's the own character research, you know what I mean?
What? Yeah.
Well, part of it, yeah, but the other part was like, I was just making a few quid, waiting
Savage.
for it. No, in my head, I was like, oh, I'm going to get me big break. I'll just drive this cab now for a couple of months, and then then I'll be in a Hollywood film. Everything will be grand.
Was that the thought?
Kind of, yeah. You have to be a little bit delusional in order to pursue dreams and things, you know. So,
I
yeah.
don't find that one bit delusion. I think that's deadly.
Yeah. No, it's a healthy delusion.
Oh, I lived the dream.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, you were baiting around the taxi.
Yeah. And then it'd be like, I got a really good gig. What year was that now? Maybe it's 2011. I was actually sitting in the Kesh, you know, where the taxis wait for I work a lot in the airport quite a bit. I'd be watching The Sopranos on the laptop or whatever. And sometimes the flights would come and I'd be annoyed because I'd be in the middle of watching an episode or something. But so that, you know, that was how I rolled.
Yeah.
But I got this phone call from a fella who was involved in Crooked House Newbridge, and he was saying, I need a lend of a video camera, you know. And I was like, oh, I don't really know anyone. And it was actually my mate Lynchy rang me. He says, do you know anyone with a video camera? And I was in a bad mood, and I was like, no, I don't. But, you know, I'll talk to you later. And then I was sitting there going, do I know anyone? And then I thought of, what's his name in Crooked House? I said, oh, ring him, you know. And I rang him. I said, have you got that camera, the Crooked House camera? And he goes, yeah. So my mate wants it, can I borrow it? He's like, oh, you can't lend it to you, you know? And then I'm like, all right, whatever. And I was about to hang up, and I said, how are you? But I didn't really care how he was. I was just being nice. He said, I'm grand, yeah, I just auditioned for this thing called Titanic Blood and Steel. It's a huge, big TV show, you know? And I was like, who's casting that? And he's like, there's a woman called Leo Davis. And I was like, oh, fair play to you, man. Hope it goes well, you know? Hung up the phone, looked up Leo Davis, managed to bang off an email. Heard you're doing this show. If there's any chance of an audition, that'd be great. Got an audition, right? And I had to learn, I think, a couple of scenes, and it was in a northern accent, which is, I was born in Northern Ireland, a lot of family up there. So that was handy. And I wasn't having a boozy week. I was one of those weeks where I was going to the gym and I was fresh. And I ran the scene with a few mates and really kind of was like, I'm going to get this, you know. And went in and got it. So that was great. So then I'm on an aeroplane with Carl Shields to Serbia. And we, like, Nev Campbell's over there, and your man off Big from Sex and the City, and Derek Jacobi, who's Olivier's kind of protege. So that was an unbelievable gig, you know. And the sun is shining, you know. And I was like, oh, I'm definitely finished with the taxi driving now. But of course I came back and started driving the cab again. And then I got the call for Fair City. And then I finally stopped taxi driving. Now I play music in bars. How you doing?
Deadly. Can we just want to ask you?
Yeah.
You're saying about the taxi driving.
Yeah.
Did that? I know it's a. You know, you're saying you wanted to give it up.
Sure.
Was there any benefit to you? Can
Definitely.
you look back and go like,
yeah,
a time of it produced creativity? Was
yeah.
this, did that come out of it character wise or anything in you that was?
Yeah, but I mean, when you start talking about acting and character and all that stuff, there's always a danger you'll sound like an arsehole, do you know? But I think that. Like people come straight out of school and then they go to drama school and then they start doing shows and then they start doing films, and maybe their knowledge of real people in real life isn't what it could be or should be.
Absolutely.
And I definitely think it informed and it grounded me a lot. Like I might have been with my head up in the clouds a bit more, but if you want a dose of reality, like drive a cab, you know what I mean?
I'd say there was some stories.
There wasn't. Like one of the things that surprised me, I think, was I thought I'm going to meet so many different people from all different walks of life, and everyone's going to have these different attitudes to life, and that's kind of true. But I actually found more of a commonality between people. Do you know what I mean? And everyone's just trying to get from one part of the day to the next, whether they're, you know, loaded or fucking on the scratcher or just out of prison. Or I've actually dropped two lads down to court one day, and I was like, "What are you in for?" And they was like, "Oh, we robbed a taxi driver." And I was like, "Okay." And then we just kind of carried on talking, and it was grand. And they got out and said, "Thanks very much," and gave me a tip. You know,
was he taking the piss?
No, I think they were deadly serious.
Jesus.
Maybe they were taking the piss.
Yeah.
But no, I think they were serious. Yeah. So it was good. Yeah. In fact, I did an ad with Lenny Abramson. You know, your man who made that film Room. I did a drink sensibly ad, which people used to take the piss out of.
How
me
ironic.
down the pub. Yeah. But I remember one day I was fecked off and I was sitting there fed up in the Kesh, and his film had just been reviewed. Room, I think, had just been reviewed, or maybe it was what Richard did. Had just been reviewed by Mark Kermode. You know that BBC Radio 5 live movie show. And I was friends with him on Facebook, and I just sent him a message, and I was like, "Oh, listen, I love listening to Kermode, and he just gave your film a great review, and I hope all's well, you know." And he got straight back to me, and I was like, "Oh, I'm not up to much at the moment. I'm just driving a cab, but you know, fingers crossed." And he messaged me back straight away, and he was like, "Oh, fair play to you, Steve. I do remember you from the ad, and that's great that Kermode loved the film, and I'm glad it's doing so well. And I'm sure you learn lots from the different characters to get into your cab, you know." So I think you need those little injections of hopefulness.
Yeah, that's two things you've just told me there, that you've made phone calls or texts that's created opportunities for you.
I suppose so. You got to reach out, don't you?
Oh,
yeah,
you got to.
Yeah.
The
well,
grind is
he
real.
hasn't offered me a job.
What?
He hasn't offered me a job, right? He just offered me encouragement.
Yeah, well, you better listen to the podcast and
yeah.
fucking get on this, fucker. You've laid Dan in it, and I read somewhere. I'm sorry, you know. I hope you don't give out to me that I'm not a Fair City fan. I didn't watch too much of it. I was too busy watching Crossroads and Glenroe.
Okay.
He was accused, or there was a rape scene, or he sexually assaulted. Yeah. Were you worried about that as an actor? That might, in a way, some people get labelled or carry into your personal life. Is there any concern about stuff like that? I don't know much about acting or anything like that.
Well, see, that was kind of my exit storyline.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I then joined a cult, and there was a siege, and I was shot with a flare gun, and then had a funeral. So I had mixed feelings about it. I was like, I was 50-50 about staying in the show. You know, one foot in the door and the other ready to run. And then they told me that I had this big storyline, and it was going to end up with me dead. So part of me was like, that's great. That's loads of work, and it's going to be really fun to do.
Right.
And then also, I'll be looking for another job after that, you know.
Back on the scratcher.
Yeah, but I think my kind of playing because people who got to know that character from watching it had an idea of him. Yeah, I don't know. I just think it was interesting to play, and I think when you hear all the stuff about the priests, you know, and the kids and stuff, often in drama, sex offenders are painted as these monsters, but they can actually be friendly people.
Oh, absolutely.
You just can't leave them alone with the kids.
Yeah.
You know, so this was a guy, and there was a really good thing on YouTube. Is it a TED Talk with a couple, right? And they went around the world giving this TED Talk, and this guy had raped this girl, and there was drink involved and all that stuff, and then they'd started communicating, and she wanted him to apologise for doing what he did, and he was in denial for ages, going, "I didn't."
These were the two giving the TED Talk?
Yeah, it's unbelievable talk.
The predator and the victim?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, but they were actually kind of friendly. It wasn't like he grabbed her over a bush or whatever. But
Jesus.
That was really interesting to watch as part of the research or whatever. But in terms of the public reaction, yeah, I thought I might have had people calling me names walking in the street and that. But I think people had been so used to me over the years, they kind of just went, shit, they just did that to him. You know. I don't know. If I was an actor, that's probably the last thing in the world I'd want to play is like somebody involved in a sex offence. Or you want to have a strong sense of self. Sure. Yeah. Well, no, I think it just wouldn't be bothered. But I know who I am, and I know when I'm playing a character, it's different. Deadly. Savage. Yeah. I read an article that you done an interview in, and it said, you know, actors, you know, the struggles of being an actor in Ireland, and they need second jobs. Okay, I don't know if I was in that interview. No, I might have been. You know that to have an acting job, you definitely need to have a side job on the. You know, you don't make as much money as people would perceive. I think I know that. I think my picture was attached to an article that went. Was it? Yeah. The fuckers. I don't mind. It's just. I think that was like a thing in the past. I know the thing you're talking about. Well, if you're lucky enough to be in steady work, then you don't need another job, you know. And some actors get the scratcher in between gigs, you know, and then other actors do other stuff. But it's not an easy job to get a that's one of the great things about Fair City. It's consistent. Got a decent role. It's consistent. Yeah. But like, if you're going to be a if you're going to be a Michelin star chef, you know, you'll work for pittance for years, and then eventually, like, you might get a star and you make a load of money.
Happy days. That's when you drive around the taxi in the
If
meantime.
you're going to be a doctor, you're going to do 6 years of medical school. Do you know what I mean?
The grind is real. You just have to keep...
The grind is real, man. Struggle's real.
Absolutely. Yeah. What advice then would you give to the kids 16, 17, 18 that said, you know, they have
Stay in school, get a real job.
Get a trade. Yeah. Be a plumber. Be a window cleaner.
But funny, I would think of the accountancy for some reason, because I would conduct interviews. I was one of those annoying cab drivers. What would you do? What you do when you left school is one of my favourite questions, because people always go off on it.
That's what you asked me that when I first met you.
Yeah.
So what were you doing?
A trademark thing.
Is it, yeah?
Yeah, but from all research, I think accountancy. I think advice to give to kids is get a degree in accountancy. There's actually an actor in Dublin who's also an accountant, and he does well. He's a good actor too. Yeah.
So is that the advice you'd say to them, stay in school? But no, say they wanted, let's say they said, I want to do acting, I want to do drama, whatever. What kind of advice would you give to these kids?
I suppose follow your dreams, follow your heart if that's what you're into. But like, just be sensible about it and be aware that. Have a look at the place you're in, which is Dublin, and the opportunities for work. You know, what's on TV, what's on the stage, and maybe talk to people in the trade and ask them what it's like, and research your career. You know. Yeah,
I think social media has an awful way of distorting reality.
Okay.
You know, whether you want to be a boxer, so if you want to be a boxer, you look at Sky Sports and you think everyone's going to be like Anthony Joshua, or if you look at any other sports, say MMA, Conor McGregor, and you look at acting, Irish actors, whatever, you think everything's going to be glam and glitz.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But at the bottom of any ladder where you have this kick off, it's quite, you know, brutal and hard to get a break.
Yeah, I met a. When I did leave school, I actually went to Germany and joined a circus, which I'm sort of proud of. But it was kind of by accident.
Did you?
Yeah. I went to Germany because people were saying, oh, Germany's good to go to work for the summer. And then I couldn't find a job, and there was a circus there. I got a job in a circus. And one of the dudes who worked there was actually a boxer. And someone said to me, oh, your man's a boxer, someone from Eastern Europe. And I was like, oh, I'd love to learn how to do a bit of boxing. I must ask him, would he teach me some moves, you know? So I says, I hear, you know, you do a bit of boxing. Will you teach me some stuff? And he goes, yeah, I'll see you at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. We'll start training. I was like, no, I was hoping you'd just show me some, because if you want me to train you, I'll see you at 6 o'clock in the morning. I was like, no, it's okay.
He didn't want it that much.
No, yeah.
Yeah, so, that's the golden rule. You want something,
you got to graft.
You got to put in the...
Yeah, but I'm not against the idea that there's someone who just has a natural ability to act or something like that, and then they get an audition, they get a job, and they get another job, and they end up, and they don't break their bollocks to do it. They just happen to have whatever that thing is, you know. That's fair enough too. Like, there's painters who could spend fucking all hours of every day painting, but they mightn't be good, you know. And then someone might just pick up a brush one day and sell it for £1 million. Like, that's fair enough. Like, I don't have a problem with that. We're going off on one, man.
No, that's good. I like it. It's a great insight. It's again, no matter what you do, isn't it? You just either put in the graft. Hopefully, your luck is in.
Yeah.
Or if you have any nepotism going on for your family members, is the acting world full of that? I know Ireland's full of nepotism and friends of families and
you got like the
shoe-ins and
Gleason sons, Brian and Donald, but they're both deadly actors and they're both lovely fellas. So I'd never begrudge them that, you know. So yeah, there's gonna be. I mean, that's old school, isn't it? Like your dad's a butcher, and then you go into being a butcher, you know.
Yeah, like politics.
Sure.
Let's not talk about politics on the Pope.
There, man.
Speaking of politics, I see you've been doing the dirt on me. What's the story? Podcast mug is over there at the back of your wall.
Yeah.
I'm gonna break that before I leave.
No, look, they told me that this was the second best.
Yeah, I actually listened to a couple of shows. They're deadly.
Graham's a good friend, and Danny's the same fella too.
Right, you spent a little time in the NRH, the National Rehabilitation Hospital, where I work.
Yes.
How'd you get in there? What was the story on that?
Well, it was through just a broad thing of Dan. When I arrived in Fair City as Dan, I was ex-army, and on my first day I had 18 scenes or something, which was a bit overwhelming. But because I'd been kicking around for years you know, I'm doing low budget shorts and profit share theatre. I was up for the let's just do this, you know, and that was grand. And then I had this whole backstory about I put this guy in a coma. I worked as a bouncer and left him in a state of paralysis. And then my old friend Robbie from the army showed up, and then there was messing with different women and all this stuff. So that's just a background to Dan, you know. And then what happened to Dan was two of the women he was involved with had a bit of a row in the cellar of the station bar, and there was a gas leak, and I went down to tell him to get out, and then I got blown up and ended up with a spinal injury. So before we did this story, I'd been on the show maybe, I don't know, 2 years by then, a year and a half. They were like, we got this big storyline coming up, and we're going to try and do it justice, and we're going to go out to the NRH and talk to people and really, you know, try and do this story justice, you know, so we don't insult people.
Savage, that's brilliant. Well done for
so I was, that was exciting. So that's how we all went out in a cab one day to the NRH, and we're shown around, and I met Mark Barry then, who coaches the Ballybrack Bulls.
Yeah.
Do you know Mark?
Oh, absolutely. Mark's a legend.
I think it's his birthday today.
Happy birthday, Mark Barry. Yeah, Coach Barry. Yeah, he's really inspirational coach.
Yeah.
I've never met a more enthusiastic person.
Yeah.
You know, we do a bit of work together with the transition year students come into the NRH to do some work placements. And me and him we run a wheelchair basketball. I give him a dig out.
Oh, deadly.
But he just oozes enthusiasm and passion. And
he's an animal player.
Takes no prisoners.
Yeah.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, great guy.
So I told him I was coming to meet you.
Oh, very good.
So he sends these regards.
Oh,
and
nice,
how's it going?
nice. Yeah. But the funny thing about him that day was someone went, "Oh, Mark does the basketball," you know, and my eyes lit up and I was like, "Oh, that sounds cool," you know. But he was kind of he's kind of played hard to get a bit about it. He wasn't like, "Oh, you know, you should definitely come out and join the team," and we threw some hoops, and you know, he was a bit standoffish about it, you know.
Wheelchair basketball is brilliant.
No, it's deadly. But then Graham Merrigan hit me up on Twitter and went, "We train every Monday, just buzz out." So I went, "Fuck it," right? And I went out on a Monday, and I just kept showing up.
Yeah, Mark was like, "This fella give it a couple of weeks, then he'll fuck off."
Yeah.
But you just kept back.
I kept going
for about 2 years or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Until I finished on the show, really, you know.
Yeah.
And it was great then, because sometimes with Fair City, be in for a few months and out for a few months. So when I was off, I was still going to train and still going to matches. So then I come in and I'd be whizzing around the chair, and everyone's like, "Oh, look at you, you're great in the wheelchair," whatever. And that's part of that. But also, like, I became very close with the team, and we went trips down the country and all the tournaments and stuff. And it was, you know, it'd be some weeks you'd be maybe you'd have a few weeks off, and you'd be a bit like, "Oh, Jesus, what am I doing?" And then you go off and play a match. And I was never into sport, or like I was until around the junior cert, and then I discovered disco dances and things like that. And but then it re-inspired or reignited a passion that I used to have as a kid for sport, you know.
Yeah.
So it's great, love it, and it's a lot of love. It is actually an American phrase.
Da.
So I'm loving it. Yeah, that's McDonald's. But,
did it open your eyes to the
chair
difficulty?
position?
Yeah,
it opened my eye to chair position. It's all about chair position, man. Picks and rolls.
What? Say that again.
Picks and rolls. I'm still not sure if I fully understand it, but you pick a player and then the other player rolls by.
Oh, that's a little tactic, is it?
Yeah.
Pick and roll.
Strategic, yeah. I've actually haven't explained that right. That'll kill me.
No, I thought, yeah.
But it all, you know, another thing we did was Anne-Marie, one of the searchers, went out one day and met a guy who'd just recently he woke up one morning with a virus and lost the use of his legs. And he was deadly to talk to, because he was just honest about what it was like. And the first time he went for a pint, and people, he was a bit annoyed about the way people had talked to him, you know, when he's in a chair. And it's sometimes people overcompensate or something. Do you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Try to be too nice.
Yeah.
Instead of just treating him like a human being.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what I was trying to say to you a minute ago, sorry for talking over you.
No, do it.
Did it give you an appreciation for people with disabilities and in wheelchairs? Did it give you an insight?
It did give me an insight, yeah. And I was cautious. Actually, towards the end, sometimes I think I was too polite with not asking people about what it's like to be in a chair, you know?
Yeah.
I just kind of went and played basketball and kind of learned by osmosis or whatever.
Yeah.
You know?
Sometimes you don't have to have them conversations. It's not relevant.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's about social emotional intelligence. It's some you might say, some you mightn't.
Yes.
These people are probably wrong.
Social emotional intelligence is definitely something I'm still working on.
Oh look, it's a life. I'm trying to get a lady. I'm trying to get a lady on called Eva Doherty. She's a psychologist, a doctor in psychology.
Brilliant.
But she gave a presentation on emotional intelligence in the hospital, and it's one of the primal things we need to learn to help communicate and develop relationships.
Heal the fucking world with that shit, man.
Yeah. And interesting when as you're saying that people don't recognise people in wheelchairs. I had a girl on there a couple of months ago, Sasha Decker,
right?
And she's a platinum card holder for one of the airlines, and they were doing a survey, and they were giving out the surveys, and they didn't give them to her, and she's like, "What's the crack? You didn't give me one there."
Yeah.
And she goes, "Sorry, we don't see people in wheelchairs as passengers, so your survey wouldn't be relevant."
Oh,
yeah. How'd you like them apples?
Bizarre, man.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a human being, and also then a platinum card holder for the airline.
Yeah.
Nuts, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's blew me away.
Yeah.
What was your insight and thoughts after spending some time? And I'm always interested to hear what people thought when they go in and do any kind of work or spend time in the National Rehab. What was your experience like?
Well, they're very welcoming and friendly and helpful, you know, which was great. And then Stuart, isn't it?
Yeah.
Asked me a few times to come out and play a bit of music, you know.
Stuart sings your praise a lot.
Yeah, good. No, he's a great dude, you know. And there was a couple of photography exhibitions. I actually emceed one of those.
I heard, yeah. You brought a certain persona and coolness to it. So you just rocked up and
like a duck, you know, with the feet underneath the water.
So you just fake it till you make it.
Exactly, man. But it's funny, an ex-girlfriend of mine, Gail, at the time, we went for a walk in the hills, and I was like, I've written this speech for the thing, you know. And I read out the thing, and she's like, who do you think you are? Like, you're just some bloke off Fair City. Like, don't say a word of that. And I was like,
what? Just cut the legs off you?
No, but it was fair enough. I don't know. Anyway, it gave me a silly speech, you know. And it's weird, like, when you're playing a role on stage or on screen, you're given a script and you say the lines and it's not you. But then when you're standing up and you've got to say your own stuff, that becomes a different skill set, as Liam Neeson would know. You know, he's this particular set of skills. But so it was a little daunting actually to do that. And it gave me a little speech about the experience that I had now. But they were just great. And I've loved any time I went out there. There's just a lot of so much goodwill in the place. You know what I mean? And in fairness, some of the gigs I've done out there, there'd be people kind of going, "What are you doing?" So I'm playing because it's Music Week. And they're like, "Oh," and you know, but that's grand too. And there's a nice man set up a PA in the garden.
Ray Messa,
is it? Yeah, and he does the same.
Oh, who would that be?
And he said he said something about Damien Dempsey buying them a bus and all this kind of stuff. There's things you don't hear.
I know who that is. Yeah. I can't think of his fucking name. Yeah. He was an ex-patient.
Yeah,
he actually had a brain injury.
That's right.
Yeah, he does work with U2, and U2 bought the bus or something.
Okay, was it right?
Yeah, U2, Bono or something.
Yeah.
That was I work in the RTU Rehabilitative Training Unit.
Yeah.
Brain injury program.
Yeah.
So yeah, another guy, Jerry.
Was it? I can't.
A guy called Jerry. I can't think of his name, his second name, but Jerry. Yeah, he was long before I worked
for
there.
A long time. Actually, I used to go out and borrow a chair from there to go play in Loughlinstown on Monday nights.
Totally.
And drop it back. You know.
It's a great atmosphere in the place. I love it. And people hear that you work there, like, oh, Jesus, that must be difficult. Yeah. It's not, man. As you said, it's welcoming. It's progressive. It's positive thinking.
You're doing something good for society. You know,
there's sound people.
Offices, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Sure, some days I'm in my office, I'm miserable anyway, so it doesn't make any difference.
True enough, man.
The singing.
Yeah.
What's the crack with that?
Oh,
you just sing a few songs. Do you just sing covers? Do you write? What's the story?
I just sing covers now. Like when I was about when I left school, I put a band together and we sort of wrote our own tunes, and we used to rehearse, and we actually got I did like a 10-week taster course in the Gaiety School, you know, one night a week just to see if I was into acting or whatever. And there was a dude called Dannon Brocknock who now lives in London, and he's gone on to be a filmmaker and so on. And he was working as a presenter for Echo Island on RTE.
I remember.
And he was like, have you got a band? I was like, yeah. And he goes, why don't you come on to the show? So we recorded a track in Lahunda in Clonsilla, and went on the telly and sang this song, and that was kind of fun. And we did gigs in like Eamon Dorns and the Music Centre. So that was my kind of, I'm going to be a rock and roll star little buzz that I had going on. And I love music, and I love playing songs, but I haven't really written since then. I did this movie. There's a director called Frank Berry who's made a film recently called Michael Inside.
Oh yeah,
have you heard of that? It's
I
a
just
great
started
film.
following him on Twitter.
Yeah,
I'm going to ask him to come on the show.
yeah. Well,
He's from Greystones, I think.
I think he's from Clontarf, maybe.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
So where did I get Greystones from?
I'm not sure.
Right.
Maybe he grew up there and then.
Right.
But we did this, like, I was about 20 years old, right? And I got this film, and I was the lead role in this film. And we went up the Wicklow Mountains, and there was all these big camera trucks, and I was like, is that for us? Are they part of this? Like, yeah. And there's like a guy called Tim Fleming who's worked on The Gladiator, and he's one of the best DOPs. And another guy who's now Tamara, who was Tim Lawless, was on it too, and he ended up working with him in Fair City. Anyway, making this movie, that's it now, I'm a movie star, right? So bollocks to the music. When this film is released, I'm going to be off in Hollywood now.
To the moon.
Great. Sure. And then it came out, and it was like the Saturday night movie on RTE. It's a simple film about a guy who comes back from being away and his ex-girlfriend's about to get married to someone else. TV movie. And that's why I think Frank's kind of debut feature film, he kind of sees that as a feature film for cinema, whereas this was a television movie. Anyway, that's kind of when I knocked the music on the head, in terms of being a songwriter. And I got really into the drama and into doing plays and into doing short films. But I'm always like, there's a voice always in like all the other many voices in the back of all our heads saying, man, you should write an album one day, And maybe I will, because there's with certain types of music, you can be a blues man, 75 years old in a suit.
Joe Cocker.
Sure, there's loads of them, yeah. So never say never, but yeah, now I just play covers. I do the odd gig in pubs.
What pubs are you doing? Where are you?
Down the Temple Bar, actually, most Saturday afternoons we're in there.
Savage.
Yeah, we're in there Wednesday night, and I actually love it.
Do you gig on your own, or are you with some?
There's a friend of mine called Robert Osborne, or Ozzy. And he's definitely touched with greatness. He's just an excellent guitar player, and he's got mojo, he's got spirit, he's got rock and roll in his soul.
Sounds like interesting.
Yeah, he's a great dude. And I started playing with his girlfriend Carla, and then she wasn't really into the kind of diddly eye stuff that we have to do in some of the pubs. But she's a great soul singer as well. Just a great singer, full stop, and guitar player too. Mean guitar, she played mean blues, meaner than most dudes. Anyway, that's all the music stuff. But we played a gig the other night, and it's like you're there. There's maybe 150 people, and they're all, if they're in that room in the Temple Bar, they're there for the music. If they want to just hang out, they go into the other room, So it's a weird thing to kind of get a crowd and really try and get under them and lift them up with some tunes, and it might be bleeding Neil Diamond or something. Do you know what I mean?
Sweet Carolyn.
Yeah, but if you can get the crowd going and get them all cheering, it's a great feeling, man. It's kind of addictive. I must be addicted to applause and all that kind of stuff. Do you know?
That's your singing career.
Yeah, it's my singing career, man.
Deadly, I love it.
What are we talking about now? Yoga?
We want to talk about the pockets of Ireland, pockets of pubs. There's so many pockets of pubs that have talent like that, isn't there? Like undiscovered talent, because I've been to lots of pubs and you go, how are these people not making it?
Yeah. Well, in a way they are making it. They're going down the pub and they're singing and they're just doing it,
Yeah,
and that's enough in some ways. Yeah, but I think also when I first was playing in bands and stuff, apart from maybe David Gray or whatever, it was all techno and dance music, and that's another reason I kind of left it alone. But it feels like there's more bands. I'm not really sure, actually, the music scene. I listen to old stuff. At the moment, I'm all about Iggy Pop. Do you know? Yeah.
Deadly.
Yeah, what about you?
I listen to anything. I could listen to Westlife, Stevie Wonder, anything that goes on the radio, anything that has a beat to it, anything, and depends on the mood. I like Michael Bublé, I like Diana Ross, anything kind of just... I'm quite eclectic. I do love Lionel Richie, probably my favourite.
Fair play, man. He's like a Sunday morning.
That's me, yeah. I love it. My mate is over in Vegas at the moment, and him and his missus are they were at just at Line of She's 70 years of age and she's banging out the tunes.
Yeah.
I went to see him in concert here loads of times, and he just plays, no warm up, no fluting around, just goes at it.
Yeah.
Savage.
Brian Wilson was in Vicar Street last night, actually, from the Beach Boys.
Yeah.
You know.
Deadly, yeah. Lionel, good old lad. So what got you into, I'm just looking at your books on the wall there. There's a lot of kind of spiritual stuff.
A friend of mine, okay, what are you looking at?
Just looking to see India and a few other things there. So you're into the yoga. How did you get into that? Are you a fan of spirituality, or is it just the yoga? Or
am I a fan of spirituality? Yes and no. Like, I'm into, so when I started in Fair City, I was like, right, I have this gig, this is a good gig. What if this dries up? What am I going to do then? And I was like, oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go. And funny, I nearly trained up as a Bikram yoga instructor.
Hot yoga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to sell the cab, I'll sell the play. I'm going to go and become a Bikram instructor. And then I went to sell the play and it was worth about 500 quid.
Oh, the deregulation at
time.
Oh,
and I went to sell but I also bought it for cheap, but I thought the car would have been worth a few grand, but I actually think someone took it for 50 quid and dumped it, you know. A Toyota Avensis. So I went to Lanzarote then and picked up a magazine in the airport, and it was like, Colin Farrell is into yoga, and I'm like, Jesus man, would you give me something that's mine? So anyway, I went on the holiday and that was grand, and I bought the family dinner because I'd just done the Titanic gig, so that was nice, because instead of having the hand out, which is normally the case. But then I came back and lucky enough got the Fair City gig, and then it was still in the back of my head to become a yoga instructor. But I thought, you know what I'll do? I'll go and do regular yoga, vinyasa flow,
love it,
that kind of stuff. Do you do a bit?
A little bit, yeah. Just for injury prevention. I'm probably the worst yoga participant in the world, because I think I kind of do what I'm doing in the gym. I push harder instead of just sitting in it and kind of going with the flow.
Sure. I
think I need to be always going harder.
Yeah.
But I love the concept of it.
Yeah, man. But so when I had a bit of, what's great about Fair City is you'd be like, you're working for 5 weeks and then you've got 6 weeks off. So like, that's perfect. I'm going to go to India and just become an instructor. You can just do a course. I met a girl called Julia from Liverpool at a surf camp in Spain. She was telling me about this school that she worked for in Patnam Beach in Goa. So I emailed her or Facebooked her and said, what's the crack with that school? I'm off this date to that date. And she's like, no, there's nothing, those dates don't work for us. But there's another school, Sampurna Yoga, a couple of beaches over. It's a lovely area, Goa there, although there was an unfortunate murder recently. And anyway, that was deadly. I went to Sampurna and did a month. So you're up at 5 o'clock in the morning, you're doing meditation. There's a guy called Sadir, who was our philosophy teacher. What was it? Your smile is your birthright. Was one of his good things.
I like it.
Yeah, man.
Deadly.
So you do yoga, you do anatomy, we're doing Ashtanga every morning as well. And I'm toying with the idea of going back this February and doing a 300 hour. And today I was even thinking I might just do the 200 hour again. Anyways, when I came back, I was like, right, I'll try and get some work. But it's quite competitive in Dublin in terms of yoga studios and yoga teachers and so on. And even the style. My thing is, just do your yoga and then let the yoga be your meditation. Yeah. Whereas there's a kind of a thing in Dublin where the teacher goes on maybe a bit too much about philosophy and opening your heart. And I'm not really into that, to be honest, you know. So I've actually gone back to Bikram now.
Right.
And the good thing about that is it's 26 poses. And they just, generally, the better teachers just talk about where your foot should be and where your hand should be.
Okay.
But you're so busy doing a pose that you don't have time to think. And that's the meditation, is to empty your mind, you know.
Coming down from your 2-story house, staying downstairs for a while.
Yeah.
Like lifting weights or painting.
Yeah, like anything. Flow, and I like Blind Boy bangs on about flow and stuff.
I was only listening to a Joe Rogan podcast today, and he had George St. Pierre's coaches on, and he was talking about, you know, the flow, and exercise should be done in the flow.
Sure.
You shouldn't come out at that too easy, too hard bit. You should be right in the middle, and that's where you find your.
And same with acting. If you're in the middle of a scene and it's going well, you know, you're not aware of what you're doing. You're just in it, you know, in the zone, as they say in basketball. And
that's what people talk. And I've talked to psychologists and other people, and they say the health benefits of exercise is just so great. And I'm going, no, I do exercise as much as most people, or more than most people, and I don't reap the benefits because I have struggles with my own mental health.
Okay.
But what I would say to someone is find something,
Yeah.
whether it's painting a wall or
Yes.
drafts,
Yeah.
singing, dancing, whatever,
Yes.
that creates flow.
Yes.
And it gives you that opportunity to have space between your mental health difficulties
Yes.
and quietness.
Yeah, man. Or even cooking, you know. So just
Anything
chopping
that gets you into that
vegetables,
flow state. And that stops you from the monkey mind.
The monkey mind. I love it, man. Yeah.
Yeah, how'd you like them apples?
Yeah, I found a clip on YouTube, and I was like, "That's just that little idea of the little monkey mind is yeah, you know, you spend years reading books on philosophy, but that just sums it up so well, you know."
And you're trying to catch the little fucker. You're like,
Yeah.
come here. I'm trying to fix you. Get grabbing his tail, grabbing his foot.
Yeah.
And all you want to do is just invite the monkey down for an old
Sure.
banana and a few
Yeah.
biscuits and
Yeah.
just chill out with you for a
Yeah.
bit. Yeah, so yeah, and people just say to me, but you do exercise, so why are you saying it's not great for you? No, I'm just saying it's not the great way hope
Yeah.
that you might think.
Yeah.
I still give the same respect to yoga, painting art, to painting your nails, picking a language that you'd like to learn.
Check this out, man. I was on a riverboat in Holland. Went over there, played some music years ago, and we were sitting around drinking tea, and we had this conversation about art, you know, and about life, and about wanting to live an artful life and all this kind of stuff. And this guy put forward the proposition that art is in everything, you know. It can be in taking Tom Waits comes to mind, like taking apart the engine of a car and putting it back together, or, you know, or even if you were an accountant or you work in a bank, or you can put, it's kind of almost kind of Zen, you know, philosophy too. There's art in everything. You don't have to separate them, you know. There we are.
Yeah, like as I said, there's a young in the job, a kid that I work with. He does a game, you know, and people, I've heard people say, "No, you need to get out of the house,
Yeah.
and get walk and do all these things."
Yeah.
He's doing something that he absolutely loves,
Sure.
and it takes him away from the difficulties. He has a disability, so that in
Okay.
itself is difficult.
Challenging, yeah.
Yeah, so this creates happiness and a time of peace and flow from.
Yeah.
Why would you go out and tell him to exercise when he probably hates it? It'd be
Yeah.
counterintuitive. I'm like, stop the lights.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm afraid to say this now. Next thing to you, in case I got this wrong, like I got the other article wrong.
No,
From
you're
what I
all right.
read,
Yeah.
was you seem to be very grateful in life. Any a job opportunity you got,
Sure.
Because I've read a little bit about
Okay.
you over the last thing. Would you practice a lot of gratuity, or are you a grateful person in life?
I'm I'm an optimist, and I'm definitely grateful, man. Every day is a gift in a way, no matter what you do. And I've been very lucky, like, because it's not easy to etch out a career as an actor. And even the fact that I get to sing music in pubs and I'm into gratefulness. I practice it, but not consciously. I think I just have a natural thing towards it, you know.
It's interesting you say that, because you know a lot of times, you know, avoid being in the eye of a shitstorm, you know, and I think, I need to be grateful, need to practice it. It comes better and it works better when you just are grateful.
Yeah.
Because I'm a generally grateful person. I'm
Yeah.
grateful you invite me in Shagaff.
Cool.
I'm grateful for things I have.
Yeah.
But it's different when you start trying practicing it. Rabbit ears.
Yeah. I think one of the things that drives me is I like to tickle my imagination, you know.
That's a nice one.
Yeah.
So, explain that one to me.
Just I like to be stimulated, like, intellectually and things like that, you know.
Substance.
Yeah, I went to see The Snapper yesterday,
Cracking
Wednesday.
film.
You know, man.
Where'd you go and see that?
In the gate. It's like a big
Oh,
sellout
the
show.
play.
The play.
Oh,
Yeah,
right,
In
sound.
fact, the actress who was my technical daughter on Fair City, Kate Gilmore's in it, and Hilda Faye as well. And it's you know what was funny about it? I think there's very few writers who've captured the humour of Dublin, you know, as well as Roddy Doyle. Like, I don't know if anyone's done it
without
since.
being insulting, without stereotyping. It was just seamless.
The twins, every time the twins, like, get out, he's screaming at them, you know what I mean? And we live in this world where everyone is a bit, maybe kid gloves and a bit too, we should be hitting our children. I'm just kidding. But, you know, it's like...
No kids are hurt in the making of this podcast.
Sure. But it just had such heart and such soul. And there was a scene, I don't know what was going on in my psyche, but when the owl fella buys the son a bike, but at first he gives him a bicycle pump, and then he goes, "We're going to get you a thing," and he's like, "Well, this has to be a joke," and then he brings out this old bike and goes, "There you go," and he goes, "This has to be a joke," and goes, "There's the bike," and for some reason I was just overwhelmed with, like, that's just, I don't know, I still have to get to the bottom of that, like, but it kind of, yeah.
I know it's typical.
Totes emotion,
It's
man.
typical totes emotion. South County Dublin. You spend too much time out in the Ballybrack Bulls.
Sure.
Yeah, it's typical Dublin, isn't it? I'll just take the piss out. I'm going to give you something good. I'm going to get me value out of it.
Yeah.
I'm going to rip the piss out of you first.
Yeah,
and then you'll appreciate it more.
Yeah.
This is a bit of a wacky sense of humour, Dublin humour, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree, man. And maybe it's something to do with being a portal town, you know, with the ships coming in and out and all the different people and all that's like London and Amsterdam and all that stuff. I don't know. And colonialism. I was listening to the Blind Boy there talking to Spike Lee about the Irish psyche and all that stuff. And I've no fucking idea, mate. So
Blind Boy is unbelievable. I've been hounding him on Facebook and on not on Facebook, on Twitter.
Yeah,
trying to get him on the podcast, but he's obviously too famous for my podcast. But I'll just keep hunting him down. Yeah, man. And one day he'll be like a wounded animal, and I'll come get him.
So he's only an old goal.
What?
He's only an old goal.
I was down in Limerick. He inspired me to go to Limerick.
All right, cool. Yeah, he's really a great ambassador for the place, isn't he?
I went to do an interview. It's funny how I'm into a collective unconscious.
Yeah, synchronicity.
And I was interviewing a guy in a hospital. I was talking to him. We were having the chats, and he seen a black ghost at the end of his bed for 5 days, and he says, "Man, you need to come on my podcast. Can I come and interview you and all that?" He says, yeah. His name is Charles J. Jackson. Right. Famous or what? He says, "I live down in Limerick," and I'm like, "No way, man. I'm listening to Blind Boy. I'd love to go there. Can I go to your gaff and interview?" He's like, "Yeah, no problem."
Yeah.
So me and my mate rocked down to Limerick, done the interview. Yeah. It was brilliant, and then we went on the Lash in Limerick City. One of the best cities I was ever in, because we had like this preconception that Limerick, Stab City, whatever, bullshit. Yeah. Couldn't get over the welcome of people, lads and all. Like, you know, you go to the places and lads can be a bit boisterous, a bit sound, dead sound. Girls, lads, the crack was unbelievable. Yeah. Have you been?
I haven't for years. I think maybe as a kid or something.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I recommend going, man. It's deadly.
TV show they made down there, Night Flyers.
I never
the
heard
guy
of it.
who wrote Game of Thrones. They got one of his earlier books and made the studio down there. I can't think of the name of the studio, but it used to be maybe a Dell Computers factory or something.
Oh yeah, and they moved out, didn't it? They moved out there.
They built this film studio, made this big TV show. It's actually an old friend of mine called Owen Mackin, who's the lead role, you know? Yeah. So it's great. It's great for Limerick.
It's deadly.
It'll be as big as Game of Thrones. It'll be alright.
Savage. We tried to go to that pub, Pharmacy. Another one he talks about, Pharmacy, for these tiki cocktails. But the time we were going, girls were saying, it's a bit early to go there. And then by the time we was ready to go there, we weren't ready to go there. I think we overshot the runway.
Okay, very good.
So we had to stay put where we were. It was savage crack. Just when you talk about books there, what kind of books you see them all there? What's your general reading, or what do you go for? I've got 3 or 4 on the go, and I'm always like that.
I'm not very disciplined when it comes to reading books. So I've bought a lot of books that I've read bits of and then never finished. And also a friend of mine was moving house once and he gave me 3 big bags of books. So a lot of those books I've never even looked at.
Yeah, just for aesthetics.
But at the moment I'm reading what's it over there? The 7 Basic Plots.
The 7 Basic Plots?
Yeah.
What's all that about?
Book about story. Because I'm kind of in talks with Fair City to go in as a writer.
Savage.
Yeah, so I'm doing a bit of research. And that just basically talks about like Star Wars and ancient Greek theatre and novels, and it just breaks everything down into what a story is and how stories work and things like that. So that's another old string to the bow.
Do you know what? Just from the moment I talk to you right to now, there's just like this thread of you'd give anything a go. Your work ethic is phenomenal. I'm not trying to blow smoke up your hole. You're the one smoking. Yeah. But you'll do anything, grind at anything. You're a serious grafter.
Yeah.
Like things don't just happen for you. You're making shit happen.
I get stuck in, but again, going back to that tickle your imagination thing, it's just trying to find maybe some sort of meaning, you know, or it's just some sort of just do stuff that you've a passion for, you know.
Yeah, but you've a combination of this Dublin thing. You've no problem getting your hands dirty and getting your head down and doing the graft, but then hoping for the best and as you say, being delusional, a positive delusional, which is deadly. I don't even do it a lot when I still think I'm going to win it.
Yeah.
That's delusional, isn't it? My ma does it, so there's a little bit of a subconscious thing in there. If she wins, I win.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Delhi, and I'm really impressed. As I say, I'm not blowing smoke behind. I love it,
man.
And that's probably the reason why I wanted to talk. She was like, this dude seems like he's always up to something,
yeah,
and I love that.
Yeah, it's when you're between gigs, you're a bit like, oh God, I'm not really up to much at the moment. What am I going to say in this interview, you know? But I think it went okay.
Yeah, I done this course recently. You do this kind of behavioural analysis of what type of person you operate in. You know, there's these certain boxes that you put into, and I'm very random in a lot of them.
Okay.
And it probably sound like you are as well.
Okay, yeah, tangential, yeah.
No, I don't mean as in tangential waffling on,
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
mean you can bounce from one thing to
Sure,
another, no
different
problem.
hats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. The one thing I ask people is, what from this interview, what's the one thing you'd like people to take away from it? Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah, I don't know. Just this is just off the top of my head. There's a woman from, I think she's from Derry, called Jenny, used to teach Bikram, and she's just get it done, just get it done. So maybe that's it, you know. But in like 10 minutes time, I'll be like, oh, I should have said that. But yeah, just get on with it. Like,
The tyranny of should. I should do this and I should do that.
Yeah,
and
shoulda, coulda, woulda.
it's just what. Yeah, that's another one.
No, I think my message to everyone is just get on with it. You know, try and find a bit of happiness. Get stuck in. See how you go.
Head down, arse up.
Sure. Yeah.
Deadly. Right, well, unless you've any more pearls of wisdom, or you want to, we could do like a ritual and smash that cup over there. What's the Story podcast cup? Then we'll wrap up there.
No.
Steve Gunn, thanks for coming on the show. You're an absolute legend.
You're a legend too, man. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Namaste. Thanks a lot, brother. Okay, there you go. That wraps up another absolutely fascinating podcast. Well, fascinating for me, and hopefully it is for you too. I'm always interested to find out what makes these people tick. You know, actors. I didn't know anything about Steve before I done the interview, and he came onto my radar because people in the hospital knew him and told me about him. They recommended that he come on the podcast, and I started doing some research on him and reading, and he wasn't what I expected. I was expecting something different. I don't know what it was, but he's deadly. Like, he left me a voicemail. I had rang him. He was really great with his time, you know. He returned texts on Facebook or phone calls. Deadly. So he left me a voicemail one day, and it was the strangest. And I don't mean bad. It wasn't your typical boring, hello, this is such and such. It was really like, you know, it's Steve, and I just rambled on, and I was like, I can't wait to meet this fella. He seems dead sound and cool. And he was exactly, Ron Seal, it was exactly what I said in the tin. He invited me over to his gaff to do the interview, and he's just a cool guy. He just has this aura about him. He's just cool, and not like he tries to be, just nice, real calm and just chilled. And yeah, it was deadly. It was really fascinating interview. And what would I take from it? Took loads from it. I probably have a newfound respect for actors, actually Irish actors, especially ones in Fair City. Because I must be honest with you, probably years ago I wouldn't have gave them any credit. Like, not that I know anything about acting, when they go off, the acting in it is poor, and you know, well, that was like years ago when I probably wouldn't have had any respect for people's profession. I wouldn't appreciate it till I kind of had to go and do it myself, you know. The trade is really hard. Trying to make it in Ireland in the acting world seems to be really, really difficult. And as Steve said, someone have to find lots of different jobs, and you know, I have a lot of respect. And as talking to Steve there, the journey he's been on, taxi driver, working with his dad, his company, singing, he's always grinding, he's always working, he's got a fantastic work ethic and a great attitude to just getting his dream, living the dream, as they say, you know. I liked the bit in it as well where he pulled me up when I said, you know, there's musicians in Ireland, if you know, about making it, and they are making it. If you do what you love in between the time you go to bed, you've made it. That is actually making it. From the time you wake up, I mean, to the time you go to bed, if you're doing the thing you love, that's called making it. So it's not about going on X Factor or making it to Hollywood, you know. If it's just being in a small budget film or singing in your local pub and you're actually loving what you do, that is making it, as they say. So yeah, that really took me back when I was listening back to the interview when I was editing it. I was like, yeah, wow, that's a great point. And that kind of stuck with me, and I think it's deadly. So there was loads of those little ones in it, and then just his attitude to life was brilliant. So hopefully you enjoy that podcast as much as I enjoyed sitting there having the chats from him. So thanks again, Steve, an absolute legend, and I wish you well in your career. I think you'll go far. You know, I support any Irish actor. I think they're deadly. Fair play, Steve. Okay, so there we are. that wraps it up. As always, I'll ask you to keep listening, keep sharing it with your family and friends. We're on iTunes. Subscribe, leave a delicious review. We really need your reviews. Again, I'll always urge you to mind yourself. If you practice self-empathy, you'll be a better person, and you can spread love and empathy to other people outside your circle, your family and friends. So yeah, I'll always ask you to mind yourself. Actually, do you know what? I read a story from a book called The Chicken Soup for the Soul by Mark Victor Hansen and Jack Canfield. So do you know what? I'll actually read you a little a story from this, and it kind of hit home for me about showing empathy towards somebody else. And I think from my own personal experience, when I'm more empathetic towards myself and I'm more loving towards me, I'm able to give it out a little more. I am by nature empathetic towards other people, but you know yourself, when you're not feeling great, your vision, your focus becomes more narrow, and you just see what's in front of you. But when you're in a better place, you're able to see if somebody else might need your help or needs an arm around them. So I'm just going to read you this little story. It's not something I've ever done before, but I just want to share it with you because it was really, really powerful. So this is called A Simple Gesture. Mark was walking home from school one day when he noticed the boy ahead of him had tripped and dropped all his books he was carrying, along with 2 jumpers, a baseball bat, a glove, a small tape recorder. Mark knelt down and helped the boy pick up the scattered articles. Since they were going the same way, he helped him to carry part of the burden. As they walked, Mark discovered the boy's name was Bill. He loved video games, baseball, and history, that he was having a lot of trouble with other subjects too, and he had just broken up with his girlfriend. They arrived at Bill's home first, and Mark was invited in for a Coke and to watch some television. The afternoon passed pleasantly, with a few laughs and some shared small talk. Then Mark went home. They continued to see each other around the school, had lunch together once or twice, and then both graduated from junior to high school. They ended up in the same high school, where they had a brief contacts over the years. Finally, the long-awaited senior year came, and 3 weeks before graduation, Bill asked Mark if he could talk. Bill reminded him of the day years ago when they had first met. "Do you ever wonder why I was carrying so many things home that day?" asked Bill. "You see, I cleaned out my locker because I didn't want to leave a mess behind for anyone else. I had stored away some of my mum's sleeping pills. I was going home to commit suicide. But after we spent some time together talking and laughing, I realised that if I had killed myself, I would have missed that time and so many others that might follow. So you see, Mark, when you picked up my books that day, you did a lot more. You saved my life." Wow, that story really, really touched me in the heart. You know, such a small gesture. And we have that within our skill set. We have that within us. That small gesture could save somebody's life. So what I say is, if you're kind to yourself, you can give it to somebody else, and you might have that opportunity to save someone's life. Okay, so that's all we have time for. As always, thanks to Noel Riley from Rooney Graphics, Carolyn Harvey from ISA Nutrition, and my crew, Kevin Doyle, Sound and Editing, and Aaron Keogh, Social Media Lads are Legends. Okay, there you have it. Good luck, enjoy the show, and mind yourself. Take care. Bye bye.